The massive ships appeared without warning. One Tuesday morning, the skies above every major city on Earth suddenly darkened as 7 enormous vessels, each the size of a small city, took position in low orbit. Panic spread across the globe as military forces scrambled and governments held emergency meetings. Commander Tom Reed watched the largest ship through the window of the hastily assembled United Earth Defense Force headquarters. At 42, Reed had spent his life preparing for conflicts that never came. Now, facing humanity's first contact with an alien species, he felt strangely calm. "They haven't attacked," he said to General Williams, who stood beside him. "That has to mean something. Or they're just deciding which city to hit first," Williams replied grimly. 3 days passed. The ships remained silent. Earth's attempts at communication went unanswered. Then, on the 4th day, a small shuttle descended from the largest vessel, landing on the neutral grounds of Antarctica, where a diplomatic delegation waited. Reed was chosen to lead the first contact team. As he approached the shuttle, his breath formed clouds in the Antarctic air. The vessel's door opened with a soft hiss, revealing beings that looked almost human but not quite. They stood taller, with skin that shimmered like polished metal, and eyes too large for their narrow faces. "We are the Dominion," said the tallest one in perfect English. "We have been observing your world for some time." Reed extended his hand, unsure if the gesture would be understood. "I'm Commander Tom Reed, representing Earth. We welcome peaceful contact." The alien looked at Reed's hand, but did not take it. "We understand your customs, Commander. We have studied them thoroughly." Over the next few weeks, the aliens, calling themselves the Dominion, proved to be surprisingly forthcoming. They shared information about their vast empire spanning hundreds of worlds. They expressed interest in Earth culture and human achievements. Most importantly, they offered technology beyond human understanding. "This could advance our civilization by centuries," said Dr. Anna Lewis, the lead scientist analyzing the Dominion's gifts. She held up a small cube that supposedly contained the secrets to clean, unlimited energy. "If this works as they claim, it could end our energy crisis overnight." Reed wasn't convinced. "Don't you find it strange they're giving us their technology without asking for anything in return?" Lewis smiled. "Maybe not everyone has ulterior motives, Commander. Sometimes a gift is just a gift." But Reed noticed things the others missed. The way the Dominion representatives studied human reactions, how they asked pointed questions about Earth's defense systems, how they always seemed to be watching. Despite his concerns, Earth's governments eagerly accepted the Dominion's offerings. The alien technology was integrated into power grids, communication networks, and defense systems worldwide. Progress that would have taken decades happened in months. Reed voiced his concerns at a United Nations meeting. "We're moving too fast. We know nothing about these beings or their true intentions." His warnings fell on deaf ears. The promise of technological advancement was too tempting to resist. For 3 months, everything seemed perfect. The Dominion shared more technology. Energy became abundant. Disease rates dropped as alien medical knowledge was applied to human healthcare. The visitors were hailed as saviors. Then, on a quiet Sunday morning, it began. Reed was reviewing security protocols when his computer screen flickered and went dark. He reached for his phone. Dead. Outside his office window, he watched as lights across the city blinked out one by one. "What's happening?" asked his assistant, voice tight with fear. Reed knew instantly. "They're making their move." Across the globe, systems failed simultaneously. Power grids collapsed. Communications networks crashed. Military defenses went offline. Hospitals lost power. Planes lost navigation. The technology that had seemed like a blessing revealed itself as a curse. The Dominion's gifts had contained hidden viruses, subtle, patient programs designed to infiltrate, learn, and eventually neutralize every piece of technology humans relied on. It was an invasion without a single shot fired. As darkness fell across Earth's cities, The Dominion ships lit up the sky with massive spotlights. Their message broadcast on every working frequency. People of Earth, your technology has been neutralized. Your military capabilities have been disabled. Your governments are powerless. We claim this world and its resources for the Dominion. Resistance will result in unnecessary suffering. Cooperation will be rewarded. In the following days, the Dominion landed troops, both alien soldiers and robotic enforcers. They secured major cities with minimal bloodshed. Most humans, shocked and overwhelmed, offered little resistance. Reed managed to escape the initial roundup of military personnel. Hiding in an abandoned warehouse, he watched through broken windows as Dominion enforcers patrolled the streets. He had recognized the trap too late. He had failed his species. 1 month after the system's collapse, Reed witnessed the first public address by the Dominion governor. A massive screen in the city center displayed the face of the same alien who had first greeted Reed in Antarctica. Humans will serve an important purpose in the Dominion, the alien announced. Your world contains resources vital to our empire. You will help us extract them. Those who work willingly will be treated fairly. Those who resist will be removed. The screen then showed images of humans being marched into mines and factories. The message was clear. Earth had become a resource extraction colony. That night, Reed found a working radio, old technology the Dominion had ignored as obsolete. He heard scattered reports of resistance, of small groups fighting back with whatever weapons still worked. But these were just pinpricks against the Dominion's overwhelming control. As he huddled in the dark, Reed made a promise to himself. This was not the end. The Dominion had studied human technology, human systems, human weapons, but they had failed to understand something fundamental about the human spirit. Throughout history, humans had faced overwhelming odds and somehow survived. They had endured catastrophes, diseases, wars, and disasters. Each time, they had rebuilt from the ashes. Each time, they had emerged stronger. The Dominion thought they had won. They believed their silent conquest was complete. They were wrong. The real battle was just beginning. 5 years had passed since the day the lights went out across Earth. 5 years of Dominion rule. Tom Reed pulled his worn jacket tighter as he moved through the dense forest. Winter in northern Canada was brutal, but it provided good cover. The Dominion didn't like the cold. Their patrols were less frequent here, their flying machines less likely to scan the thick tree cover when snow fell. The small cabin appeared between the trees, smoke rising from its chimney. It looked like any other hunter's retreat, which was exactly the point. Reed knocked. 3 short, 2 long, and the door opened. "You're late," said Lisa Martins, her face illuminated by the glow of a wood stove. Once a top programmer for a tech company, now she was the Resistance's best hope for understanding Dominion technology. "Patrol on the old highway," Reed explained, stomping snow from his boots. "Had to take the long way." Inside, 6 people huddled around a table covered with maps and hand-drawn diagrams. 5 years ago, they had been ordinary people, a teacher, a nurse, a construction worker, a college student, and a mechanic. Now they were soldiers in a war most of humanity had already accepted as lost. "Show him what you found, Lisa," said Mike Foster, the mechanic whose hands were perpetually stained with grease and dirt. Lisa pulled out a strange device, a mix of Dominion technology and human components. "I've been studying the patterns in their communication network," she explained. "The Dominion might be advanced, but they're predictable. Their systems operate on cycles, like clockwork." Reed leaned closer. "How does that help us?" "It means we can predict when their systems will be more vulnerable," Lisa said, her eyes bright with excitement. "All technology has weaknesses, even theirs." Across the room, Ben Taylor cleaned an old rifle. "Great. So while you figure out how to hack alien tech, the rest of us will just fight their robots with bullets and hope." Reed understood Ben's frustration. Conventional weapons barely scratched Dominion enforcers. The resistance had been reduced to the hit-and-run tactics, small victories that sometimes felt pointless against the scale of their defeat. "We received a transmission from London," said Emma Green, who operated their radio. Once a teacher, now she coordinated communication between scattered resistance cells. Dr. Wilson made contact. This caught Reed's attention. James Wilson had been a leading physicist before the invasion. He'd gone underground in London, working with salvaged Dominion technology. "What did he say?" Reed asked. Emma played the message, scratchy and filled with static, but clear enough. "Found their weakness. Communication relies on specific frequency range. Disrupting it causes cascade failure in enforcer units. Need more equipment. Time running out. They're closing in." The message ended with coordinates for a Dominion processing facility where the necessary equipment could be found. "If Wilson's right, this could change everything," Lisa said. Reed studied the facility location on their map. It was heavily guarded, but not impossible to reach. "We'll need a distraction," he said. For the next week, they planned the raid. Other resistance cells were contacted using old radio equipment operating on frequencies the Dominion considered too primitive to monitor. 3 groups would coordinate, one to create a distraction several miles from the facility, another to cut power to the perimeter sensors, and Reed's team to infiltrate and obtain the equipment. The night of the raid came with a heavy snowfall. Perfect cover. Reed, Lisa, and Mike approached the facility's east fence as planned. The distant sound of explosions told them the distraction team had done their job. "Perimeter sensors should be down now," Lisa whispered, checking her watch. Reed cut through the fence, and they slipped inside. The facility was massive. A factory where humans worked under Dominion supervision, processing Earth minerals for shipment off-world. The equipment they needed was in a secured section. Getting there meant navigating through areas patrolled by enforcer units, 8-foot-tall robotic guardians with sensors that could detect human heartbeats. Mike pulled out a device he'd built from scraps. This might confuse their sensors for a few minutes. No guarantees. They activated the device and moved quickly through the shadows. Twice they froze as enforcers passed nearby. But Mike's contraption worked. The robots continued their patrol without noticing them. In the secured section, Lisa quickly identified the components they needed. "This is part of their communication array," she explained, disconnecting the cube-shaped device. "And this," she pointed to a larger unit, "is what Wilson described." As they were packing the equipment, alarms blared through the facility. "That's not for us," Reed said, peering through a window. "Look." Outside, a group of human workers had started fighting their supervisors. The resistance had spread further than Reed knew. These weren't his people. "We need to help them," Mike said. Reed shook his head. "We can't. Not now. What we're carrying could end this war. We have to get it back." It was the hardest order he'd ever given, watching as Dominion enforcers moved in on the rebelling workers. But they escaped during the chaos, the precious technology secure in their packs. 2 days later, back at their hideout, Lisa connected with Wilson using a modified Dominion communication device. "The frequency disruptor works." Wilson's voice came through, clearer this time. "I've tested it on a disabled enforcer unit. Complete shutdown. But there's more." His voice became urgent. "They'd found me. I'm transmitting the complete schematics now. Use them. Remember the frequency." The transmission cut off abruptly. Lisa looked at the data that had come through. "He got it all to us," she said quietly. "Everything we need to build our own disruptors." Reed looked around at his small team, their faces lit by the glow of the alien device. For the first time in 5 years, he felt something he'd almost forgotten: hope. "The Dominion thinks they won because they have superior technology," he said, "but they don't understand humans. We don't give up. We adapt. We find ways to fight back when there shouldn't be any." Mike grinned, already examining the schematics, "and we're pretty good at breaking things." Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering their tracks. In hideouts across the globe, Other resistance cells were waiting for word, for a plan, for a chance to fight back. The Dominion's hold on Earth seemed unbreakable. But the tide was about to turn. 3 weeks after the raid, Mike Foster's hands were bloody from working nonstop. Not from wounds, but from the constant handling of metal parts and wires as he built device after device based on Wilson's schematics. "Try it now," he said to Lisa, wiping sweat from his forehead with his forearm. Lisa activated the small, oddly shaped device. It hummed quietly, lights blinking in sequence. "Power output stable," she reported, checking the readings. "If Wilson's calculations are right, this should disrupt Dominion communication within a 50-foot radius." Reed picked up the device, turning it over in his hands. It was smaller than he expected, about the size of an old smartphone. "Can we make more?" Mike nodded. "Components are the problem. We'd need to raid more Dominion facilities." Their hideout had changed. What was once a simple cabin was now a workshop filled with salvaged Dominion technology mixed with old human electronics. The resistance had grown too. 20 people now, as survivors from nearby areas joined after hearing rumors of a way to fight back. Emma burst into the room, excitement clear on her face. "Message from the Boston cell," she said. "They found something big." The message was brief. "Crashed scout ship recovered. Mostly intact. Need technical assistance." Reed looked at Mike and Lisa. "This changes everything." 3 days later, they arrived at the Boston cell's hideout, an abandoned subway station beneath the ruins of the city. The scout ship sat in what had once been a maintenance bay, its sleek form looking alien among the human surroundings. "Hit by lightning during a storm," explained Jack, the Boston cell leader. "Crashed in the harbor. We got to it before the Dominion recovery teams." The ship was small, designed for 2 Dominion pilots. One section was damaged, but the main systems appeared intact. Mike circled it, eyes wide with wonder. "They'll be looking for this," Reed warned. Jack nodded. "We've been moving it every few days. So far, we've stayed ahead of them." For the next month, Mike and Lisa worked with the Boston team to understand the ship. Progress was slow. Dominion technology was advanced, but they discovered something unexpected. It wasn't as complex as they feared. "It's their arrogance," Lisa explained one night as they reviewed their findings. They built their systems to be resistant to advanced hacking attempts, but they never considered simpler approaches. Mike demonstrated by connecting a jury-rigged device to the ship's control panel. The device was crude, a mix of old human electronics and repurposed Dominion parts. Yet somehow it interfaced with the ship's systems. "They're so advanced they've forgotten the basics," Mike said, like a chess master who studies complex strategies but misses a simple move. Reed watched as Mike's device bypassed the ship's security protocols. "Can we fly it?" "Not yet," Lisa replied, "but we can access its communication systems. And more importantly, we can use it to understand how the Dominion's network functions." This discovery led to another breakthrough. By analyzing the ship's communication logs, Lisa found that the Dominion relied heavily on a centralized network. Individual units, from enforcer robots to scout ships, had limited autonomy. They needed constant connection to the main network. "That's why the frequency disruptors work," she explained. "Cut off from the network, they can't function properly." Reed saw the potential immediately. "If we could disrupt their communications on a larger scale, we'd need something more powerful than these portable units," Mike said. "The ship's transmitter," Lisa suggested. "We could modify it." As they worked on the ship, Reed coordinated with resistance cells worldwide using old radio equipment. The plan was taking shape. Synchronized attacks using the frequency disruptors, targeting Dominion control centers. But they needed more. The portable disruptors had limited range, and the modified ship transmitter could only affect one area. They needed a way to spread the disruption globally. The answer came from an unexpected source. A new arrival to their group, Paul, a former satellite engineer, suggested using Earth's old satellite network. "Most satellites are still in orbit," he explained. The Dominion disabled them but didn't destroy them. If we could reactivate just a few and modify them to broadcast the disruption frequency. It was a long shot, but it gave them a target. They needed access to a ground-based satellite control station. The closest one was heavily guarded, a Dominion Regional Command Center. Reed planned the mission carefully. It would be their biggest operation yet, requiring coordination between multiple resistance cells. They would use the scout ship as bait, making it appear as if humans were trying to escape Earth in a stolen vessel. On the day of the mission, Reed stood before the assembled resistance fighters. These were ordinary people, teachers, doctors, construction workers, now preparing for battle against an alien force. The Dominion thinks they know us, Reed told them. They've studied our technology, our warfare, our history. But they missed something important. Throughout human history, we've faced disasters, plagues, wars. Each time, some thought it was the end. It never was. We survived. We rebuilt. We adapted. The fighters nodded, their faces showing determination despite the odds against them. Today, we use their arrogance against them, Reed continued. They believe their technology makes them invincible. They don't understand that humans have always found ways to overcome superior forces. We turn disadvantages into advantages. We improvise. We overcome. As dawn broke, the modified scout ship took off, piloted by Mike. Its communication system had been altered to broadcast a specific signal, one that would attract maximum Dominion attention. Meanwhile, Reed led a team toward the satellite control center. They carried the portable disruptors, each fighter knowing their role. Other teams moved into position around key Dominion facilities worldwide, waiting for the signal. The Dominion responded exactly as predicted. Forces were diverted to chase the scout ship, leaving the control center with reduced protection. When Reed's team activated their disruptors, the remaining enforcers froze, their connection to the network suddenly cut. Inside the control center, Lisa and Paul worked frantically to reactivate the satellite systems. It was a race against time. The Dominion would soon realize the scout ship was a diversion. Almost there, Lisa muttered, fingers flying over the controls. The old systems came to life, screens lighting up after years of darkness. Paul established connections to 3 key satellites, ready to transmit the disruption frequency. Reed looked at the countdown timer. Teams worldwide were in position, waiting for this moment. Now, he ordered. Lisa pressed the final command. The satellites activated, broadcasting the disruption frequency across their coverage areas. The effect was immediate. Throughout the region, Dominion enforcers stopped moving. Communication systems went silent. For the first time in 5 years, humans had gained the upper hand, if only temporarily. Reed knew this was just the beginning. The Dominion would adapt, find ways to counter this attack. But humans had proven something vital. The invaders weren't invincible. The real fight was just starting. The temporary victory at the satellite control center gave the resistance something they hadn't felt in years: momentum. But Reed knew it wouldn't last long. The Dominion was already adapting, creating workarounds for the disruption frequency. They're switching to backup communication channels, Lisa reported, studying the data they gathered. We have maybe 2 weeks before our current method becomes useless. Reed gathered the resistance leaders in their new headquarters, a network of abandoned mining tunnels. Representatives from cells across North America had arrived, bringing reports of similar temporary successes and inevitable Dominion countermeasures. We need something bigger, Reed said. The disruption attacks bought us time, but the Dominion is learning. Lisa stepped forward, dark circles under her eyes from sleepless nights spent analyzing Dominion code. I have an idea. We've been trying to destroy their systems, but what if we manipulate them instead? She explained her plan. Rather than simply disrupting Dominion communications, they could insert false data into their network. The aliens relied so heavily on their systems that they might not question the information they received. A virus? Asked one of the cell leaders. Not exactly, Lisa said. More like a deception program. It won't destroy anything. It will subtly alter the information they receive. Mike, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. We could use the scout ship. Its communication system is already recognized as friendly by their network. The plan took shape. Using the scout ship, a small team would approach the Dominion command vessel orbiting Earth. They wouldn't attack. They would transmit Lisa's deception program directly into the heart of the alien network. What kind of false information are we talking about? Reed asked. Lisa smiled. Something they would never ignore. A massive uprising on one of their core worlds. The plan was audacious. It required not just technical expertise but perfect timing. While the Dominion was distracted by the false crisis, resistance cells worldwide would launch coordinated attacks on key facilities. For 2 weeks, they prepared. The scout ship was modified to avoid detection. Lisa worked day and night perfecting her deception program, testing it against the ship's systems. Meanwhile, Reed received an unexpected message from an underground resistance cell in what had once been Tokyo. They had made contact with Dr. James Wilson. He was alive. They moved him to a research facility. The message explained, he's being forced to work on Dominion technology. Says he can help from the inside if we create a distraction. The mission was set for dawn. Reed selected his team carefully. Lisa to handle the technical aspects, Mike to pilot the ship, and himself to make decisions if things went wrong. Only 3 people to minimize risk. The night before launch, Reed found Lisa staring at the scout ship. Having doubts, he asked. She shook her head, just thinking about how strange this is. 5 years ago, I was debugging financial software. Now I'm creating a virus to deceive an alien empire. Not a virus, Reed corrected with a smile. A deception program. Lisa laughed. The Dominion thought they were so superior. They never imagined we'd use their own systems against them. At dawn, the scout ship rose silently from its hiding place. Mike had mastered the alien controls, handling the vessel as if he'd been flying it his whole life. Remember, Reed reminded them, we're not trying to fight our way in. This is all about stealth. The journey to low orbit was tense. They flew through gaps in the Dominion's sensor network, using routes mapped by resistance observers. As Earth fell away beneath them, the main Dominion command vessel came into view, a massive structure resembling a dark metal snowflake, with extensions spreading outward from a central hub. Receiving automated identification request, Lisa reported as alert sounds came from the ship's console, responding with the captured authentication codes. Seconds stretched like hours as they waited to see if the deception would work. Finally, the alert sounds stopped. We're cleared, Lisa said, disbelief in her voice. They think we're a returning scout mission. Mike guided the ship toward a docking bay near the outer edge of the command vessel. Less traffic there, he explained. Less chance of someone noticing we don't belong. Once docked, they moved quickly. The bay was automated, with no Dominion personnel present. Lisa connected her equipment to an access terminal, her fingers moving with practiced precision. Uploading the deception program now, she whispered, though there was no one to hear them. It will spread through their network, gradually altering data streams. The upload took 3 minutes. When it finished, Lisa checked the confirmation. It's in. Now we wait. They didn't have to wait long. Alarms began sounding throughout the command vessel. Announcements in the Dominion language echoed through the corridors. What are they saying? Reed asked. Lisa had learned enough of the Dominion language to understand the basics. Emergency protocols activated. Something about a sector-wide rebellion in their home systems. It's working, Mike said with a grin. Through the docking bay viewports, they watched as shuttles began launching from the command vessel. The Dominion was redeploying forces to address the non-existent threat. Send the signal, Reed ordered. Lisa activated the secure transmitter they had brought. The signal would reach all resistance cells worldwide, telling them to begin their coordinated attacks. As they prepared to leave, A message came through on their own secure channel. It was from Dr. Wilson. Dominion systems compromised on my end. The message read, internal communication networks affected. Safe journey home. From his forced position inside the Dominion research facility, Wilson had seized the opportunity provided by the confusion to amplify the deception from within. The return journey was even more tense than the approach. The command vessel was in chaos, but that meant unpredictable movements and heightened security. Mike navigated through the confusion, using the distraction to their advantage. As they re-entered Earth's atmosphere, reports began coming in from around the world. Resistance cells were attacking Dominion facilities, facing minimal opposition as the aliens struggled with contradictory information and malfunctioning communication systems. Boston reporting successful takeover of Regional Control Center. London has secured 3 enforcement hubs. Sydney team has captured a landing field with 5 intact shuttlecraft. For the first time since the invasion, humans were winning. When they landed at the Resistance base, cheers greeted them. Reed stepped out of the ship, looking at the faces around him. Hopeful, determined, no longer defeated. The Dominion is in disarray, he announced. But this isn't over. They'll figure out the deception eventually. One of the younger fighters stepped forward. What happens then? Reed looked up at the sky, where the command vessel was still visible as a dark spot against the blue. Then we face their full fury, and we'll need to be ready. The true test was yet to come, but humanity had proven something important. The Dominion could be outsmarted. Intelligence could overcome technology. Deception could defeat power. The balance had shifted. The Dominion's confusion lasted 4 days. 4 precious days during which humanity reclaimed ground across the globe. Cities were liberated. Dominion facilities captured. Human prisoners freed. Then the deception program was discovered. Reed was coordinating operations from the Resistance headquarters when the first reports came in. Dominion forces are reorganizing. A voice crackled over the radio. Boston under heavy attack. Enforcers operating at full capacity again. Similar reports flooded in from around the world. The Dominion had realized they'd been tricked, and their response was swift and furious. They're not just trying to recapture lost ground, Lisa said, analyzing incoming data. They're punishing us. Reed watched grimly as reports of Dominion brutality increased. Towns that had celebrated freedom were being razed. The aliens were making examples of those who had dared to resist. We knew this would happen, Reed reminded everyone. But we're in a better position now than we were a week ago. It was true. Despite the Dominion's renewed attacks, humanity held key facilities and resources. Most importantly, they had captured enough Dominion technology to understand their enemy better than ever before. Dr. Wilson, finally free from his captivity, arrived at the headquarters with critical information. His time working for the Dominion had given him insight into their ultimate plans for Earth. They're building something in orbit, he explained, showing schematics he had memorized. A device capable of altering Earth's atmosphere. If activated, it would make our planet uninhabitable for humans, but perfect for Dominion colonization. The weapon platform was nearly complete. The Dominion, enraged by the human deception, had accelerated their timeline. How long do we have? Reed asked. 3 days, maybe 4, Wilson replied. Once it's operational, Earth is finished. They needed a new plan. The deception had worked once, but the Dominion wouldn't fall for the same trick twice. This time, they would need to confront their enemy directly. Reed called a meeting of all resistance leaders who could attend or connect via radio. We need to destroy that platform, he told them. Everything else is secondary. The plan they developed was bold. Using captured Dominion shuttles, strike teams would launch simultaneous attacks on 3 targets: the command vessel, the weapon platform, and the main ground control center. The attacks would be coordinated with a new disruption frequency Wilson had developed, one the Dominion hadn't yet adapted to. It was a desperate gamble, but they had no choice. Earth's future depended on success. The night before the mission, Reed found himself standing under the stars, looking up at the faint lights moving across the sky, Dominion ships preparing for humanity's destruction. Mike joined him, worried about tomorrow. Reed nodded. We've come so far. Accomplished more than I thought possible. But tomorrow we either win or lose everything. Mike finished for him. At least we're going down fighting. The assault began at dawn. 3 teams lifted off and captured Dominion shuttles, each heading for their assigned target. Reed led the team targeting the weapon platform. Lisa and Wilson coordinated from the ground, ready to implement the new disruption frequency. The journey to orbit was tense but uneventful. The Dominion, still recovering from the deception attack, had gaps in their defense network. Reed's shuttle approached the massive weapon platform, its dark metal structure already aimed at Earth below. Receiving automated clearance request, reported the pilot, another former mechanic who had learned to fly alien craft, responding with captured codes. For a moment, it seemed the approach would be smooth, then alarms blared throughout the shuttle. They've detected us. Defensive systems activating. The shuttle rocked as energy weapons fired from the platform. The pilot dodged skillfully, but a hit to their engines sent them spinning toward the platform. We're going to crash, someone shouted. Aim for the main docking bay, Reed ordered. Somehow, the pilot managed to direct their uncontrolled descent. The shuttle crashed through the bay entrance, skidding across the floor in a shower of sparks before coming to a stop. Half the team was injured in the crash. Reed organized the survivors, distributing weapons and explosives. Remember the plan. We need to reach the core and plant the charges. They fought their way through the platform, facing both Dominion soldiers and Enforcer robots. The new disruption devices helped, causing nearby Enforcers to malfunction, but the aliens had already implemented partial countermeasures. Reed's team suffered losses with each section they secured. By the time they reached the central core, only Reed and 2 others remained. Set the charges, he ordered, keeping watch for enemy reinforcements. One of his teammates, a young woman named Tara, worked quickly, placing explosives at key points around the core. Charges set. 10-minute timer. As they turned to leave, a squad of Dominion soldiers blocked their path. Reed and his remaining fighters took cover as energy weapons fired around them. We're trapped, said Jones, the other surviving team member. Reed looked at the charges, then at the limited cover they had. You 2 go. I'll hold them off. That's suicide, Tara protested. The charges have to detonate. Earth depends on it. Reed checked his weapon. I'll buy you time. Before they could argue further, he broke from cover, firing at the Dominion soldiers. His diversion worked. Tara and Jones slipped away through a side passage as the aliens focused on Reed. Fighting desperately, Reed managed to hold the aliens back, but soon found himself cornered. Enemy reinforcements arrived. He was outnumbered, outgunned, with nowhere to run. Then a voice echoed through the platform. Not human, but Dominion. Reed recognized the alien language he'd heard during their first contact, years ago. It was coming from the command center. The Dominion soldiers suddenly lowered their weapons. A tall figure approached, clearly a high-ranking official based on its ornate armor. Commander Reed, it said in perfect English. Your species continues to surprise us. Reed kept his weapon raised. What's happening? Your other teams have succeeded. Your Dr. Wilson has taken control of our command vessel's communication systems. Your fighter teams have captured our ground control center. Reed could hardly believe what he was hearing. So you're surrendering. The Dominion commander made a gesture Reed couldn't interpret. We are reassessing. This weapon, it gestured around them, was our final solution for Earth. You have proven more resourceful than our studies indicated possible. The timer on the charges continued counting down. Reed said nothing about them. No species has ever resisted us successfully, the alien continued. Yet humans, with inferior technology and resources, have managed what many thought impossible. Reed finally understood. Your offering terms. We will withdraw from Earth. Your species has earned its freedom and our respect. The alien seemed sincere, but Reed had learned caution. And the charges my team planted. The ones about to destroy this station. The Dominion commander's large eyes blinked. Disarm them, and we will begin our withdrawal immediately. Reed had a decision to make. Trust the word of an enemy who had already betrayed humanity once, or ensure Earth's safety through destruction. There's a third option, Reed said. You withdraw first. Prove your intentions. Then we discuss disarming the charges. For a tense moment, the alien was silent. Then it nodded, a human gesture it had clearly learned. Very well. The withdrawal begins now. Over the next hours, Reed watched as Dominion ships began leaving Earth orbit. Wilson confirmed from the command vessel that the retreat was genuine. The aliens were actually leaving. Standing on the captured weapon platform, Reed looked down at Earth below, scared, damaged, but free. Humanity had done what should have been impossible. They had defeated a technologically superior enemy through determination, adaptability, and refusal to surrender. As the last Dominion ships disappeared into deep space, Reed activated his radio. This is Commander Reed to all resistance cells. Victory is confirmed. I repeat, victory is confirmed. Earth is ours again. Across the planet, celebrations began. The long nightmare was over. Rebuilding would be difficult, but humans were good at starting over. They always had been. The silent failure had led to an epic victory. Humanity had defied the odds.